Let's give it up for Pastor Joey Furjanic. Hey, 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 hey. Yes.
Wow.
How you feeling? How you feeling?
I feel great. Thank you all for being here and all of you who are tuning in somewhere on the World Wide Web.
Doesn't he look good in his level up sneakers?
Yes.
You see his
So,
level up sneakers?
should I take these off for the world to see, or can they see them?
Yeah, put them up on the table.
I just so that I don't get caught on preacher sneakers or anything like that. Someone bought these for me and blessed me with them.
Please clarify that.
And they were, I don't know how much they were, okay, but thank you, Abby, for buying these for me. And I almost just fell. Hey. And we don't have any alcohol here at all. And I just, it was water. It was holy water.
Originally, there were wheelchair, like chairs that had wheels here.
Okay.
I said, this is not going to be a good idea. I just saw you just like falling back into this television.
That would be me.
Because he's just prone to fall. So
A Michael Scott exclusive moment.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
you can thank me for saving your life.
I can't, you could only find 2 people who read the pre-release that liked it.
I mean, there were so many, but I know, it's a weeknight, and, I wanted to make sure people have questions, and so,
What I'd like to do is know how many of my staff read the whole entire book front to cover. Maybe I won't ask that, okay? I know there's one person who always gets it done, Pastor Grace. I know she's read it, and she was probably checking to make sure there were no mistakes. And
she was looking to make sure you put, like, block groups in there and serving teams.
did I mention her location? All the things.
I think you only asked me to do this, so I did read the book.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I don't really like to read. So
Yeah, that's a problem.
But
well,
we'll get into that.
before we get into that, I just want to. Can I give a little love?
Who's hosting this? You or me? You or me?
Well, I know you're hosting, but my friend showed up.
Okay.
One of my best friends ever. He came all the way from Nashville today, and before
Surprised him.
I know, it was total surprise and just hilarious. Like I saw him, and then like the elevator closed, and I was like. But Josh is in the house. Josh Alltop, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah.
Means the world. Also, a shameless plug for the Block Worship. Josh does all of our mixing, and he's going to record some stuff for TBW because we got some stuff coming out in the fall. So anyway, just a little shameless little plug. All right, you're in charge.
Thank you very much. So again, we're here. We're going to ask Pastor Joey some questions and just hear, his perspectives and his thoughts. I would like to share, my favorite part or parts of the book. Like I said, it's true. I'm a visual person, so reading is rough for me. But I love how relatable this book is and how readable it is. It's not that I can't read. I have 2 degrees. I just don't like to. And
2 degrees.
I do. Don't
what
forget.
What are they? For the single ladies, tell them.
I got a BA in HR and an MFA in interior design. And I'm a pastor, so you can figure out how that ties in together.
Which means you still have school loans.
I do.
So if there are any doctors or nurses out there looking for a husband, he needs you.
Or any millionaires that are trying to pay off my debt.
Yes.
Here I am.
I went to Morehouse, just so everybody knows. Okay, was it Morehouse? Did I say that right? Did I make
You did say it right.
Is that wrong? Did I make an insensitive joke?
No,
okay, I
no,
just making sure.
stop.
Actually, I don't have any loans, but my wife does. Okay.
But seriously, I love how practical the book is and how you just give clear steps like, turn your phone off, and, save money. Simple things that sometimes we think, it goes above it's just so simple. And I love how whether you're a doctor or you are a school teacher or you are, you work at McDonald's, you can pick up this book and you can get something from it. And I think that's what's so important. And just like what Michaela was saying, it's not just for, I know you had a target maybe demographic in mind, but it spans so much wider than that. And I think that anybody, any age group can pick this up and get something from it.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just on that note, I think when we started our church, there were so many people that had come from, churches where religion was rigorous. and it was very theoretical, but it was never practical. And I felt like our church had to be spiritual, but we had to partner that with the practical, and I think that's helped people experience breakthrough in their life and realize that Christianity is tangible. It's not Sunday alone. It's every day. It's 167 of the 168 hours of the week, and I think it's putting down your phone is spiritual as much as it is practical.
Yeah, that's good.
So
That's good.
anyway.
The other thing that I really enjoyed about is that Alexa spoke to this, but I think when we think of relationships and, outward relationships, we're so focused on the other individual, the other person. But I love that you really set this foundation of relationships begin with yourself, knowing who you are, setting that foundation, doing the work within yourself before you approach a friendship or before you approach, a romantic relationship. Do the work within yourself, and that's really where it starts. And so I think that was really what stood out to me, that opposed to it being, like, oh, you need to look for this person. You started with, no, look for the person in yourself before you start seeking someone else. And so those were my favorite things about the book.
And marriage will teach you to do that, by the way.
All over again, I'm sure.
You realize how messed up you are.
Yeah.
And self-health, I think, is the gateway to, horizontal health, relationally. So anyway.
Yeah. So tell us why Level Up? Why did you write it, and who did you write it for?
Yeah, so, as I just shared, like, I wanted to put some practicality to the spiritual. But, I think it started really last year. We were doing a teaching series. I think it was called Sex with the Light On, maybe? I can't remember. And we were talking, no, it wasn't that. Sorry, that was the year before. It was tribal warfare.
Okay, you're getting old.
I'm old. Yeah, going bald, brain is condensing or whatever it does. And but anyway, so we did a whole thing on dating, and I did 2 weeks on it, and I could not believe how many of our church came up and said, "Oh my goodness, I've never heard this before. Nobody taught this to me," and just there was a shift, and it was like okay, we have something to refer back to, and so then I heard people. It made my life easier, because when people were going into counseling sessions, they would go, hey, you need to listen to that sermon on sex, or you need to listen to that sermon on dating. And it got in my head okay, this is a small microcosm of a whole bigger piece of the puzzle, which is relationships. And so I was thinking like my generation specifically, we desperately need a reboot and a rebrand on relationships. Today there's new rules for dating. Okay, like what we did back then, it's different, and how people are meeting today, you're meeting through your thumbs, and you're not even having interactions, personal interactions, and some of that's great. One of our elders met their wife through, I think, christianmingle.com. I think Christian Mingle, if you would like to sponsor any of this, God bless you. But it's a new day. There's new rules. And so I wanted our relationships to be healthy in our church. And so I felt like if I could put this down into a manual that we could refer back to, it would make our life easier from a counseling and a guidance standpoint. But man, this is the new rules for relationship. And I was tired of seeing conflict and people break down and not know the next steps. Totally. Why was ghosting people or just not showing up part of our culture, and it was acceptable? Absolutely not. And so I felt like we needed a reboot and a rebrand on relationships, and that's basically what this is.
And I love that, because where else, there's so many places or forums where people talk about those things. But I believe the church should be the first place where we learn those things, and we shouldn't be looking to, outward sources. And so thankful that you approach it gracefully and really make sure that it's not something seen as taboo of sorts.
And so we called it Level Up because it's a culturally relevant term, if you will. Somebody wrote a song about it. And
do you know how to do the dance?
I have been working on it. Are you guys ready? I'm not doing the dance. I'm just
Yes, we
no,
are
I'm
ready.
not. I have no clue how to do the dance. When you guys did the dance competition in church a couple Sundays ago, I was hiding, afraid I was going to get an email from somebody who was overly spiritual, ready to say that we were all heathens. So I did not even watch.
I was just glad. I'm like, please, nobody drop it like it's hot. Just keep the motions, upper shoulder.
The lady who won in our Port Richmond location, she was like in her 70s or something. She was amazing. 60, excuse me, forgive me. Here I go, getting in trouble. But, you
Let
know,
me
the way
lead
for
and
me to
guide
level
you.
up would be to apologize to her face to face and say how beautiful she looks, and she looks like my sister. Okay, all right. But anyway,
Stop.
wait, I
Okay,
gotta
okay.
say, but the name of the book, Level Up.
Yes.
Like, you asked me a question, like, level up, like this concept of going higher. It's a call to maturity. It's a call to raise the bar and raise the standard.
Yeah.
Like, we will not settle. If we're believers, if we're Christians, like, we can't let each other settle.
Yeah.
We're better than this.
Yeah.
We need to lead the way, set the pace for culture, for how relationships should be in the workplace, at school,
Yeah.
in our world, in our city, as we have influence. We set the pace
Yeah.
for respect, honor, dignity, transparency, all of those
Yeah,
things.
that's good. Speaking of transparency, you shared a lot of personal stories. One of my favorite being, and this is a spoiler alert, but you guys should have read the book already.
If
there's-
you go to our church, they haven't. They need
fair,
to buy it.
Fair. But there's one intro where your mom, who's like one of my most favorite people ever, there's a story of her coming to him at a lunch table with a wallet that has a condom in it, and she slaps it down, and she says, "What is this?" It wasn't his, just to say, but I literally was in a coffee shop laughing hysterically, picturing that moment happening. But what allows you to get...
Just say it again because they understood it, because you said it kind of with laughing. I'd love to hear you say that C word one more time. What did she throw at me?
I said it fast for a reason. She threw a condom. Moving right along.
My mother threw a condom at me, yes.
Yes.
I will not forget that day. It scarred me for life, and apparently you as well.
I literally, people were looking at me like, why is he laughing so hard? I literally was crying because I could just picture her.
My mom is an amazing woman.
If you know her, you know.
She got that Philly cray, though. I'm just telling you. They took her out of Philly, but they could not take Philly out of her. She got kicked out of a T-ball game one time that I was in because they sent her a letter. This is not in the book. This is bonus material. They sent my parents a letter in T-ball when we were in Orlando. We had moved from Philly to Orlando, and they sent them a letter, and basically they said, "You are not in Philadelphia anymore. Calm it down." I'm proud of that. Anyway.
And she passed that along to you.
Slightly.
So with all the transparency and just being very vulnerable about, things that you struggle with and, fear and certain insecurities, how do you get to that place where you can just be open and share, those things that you struggle with?
I think my generation specifically, I'm 33, I think we smell inauthenticity, from miles away. And I just feel like I'm not the greatest preacher in the world. I'm not the greatest leader in the world. I want to be great. I want to keep getting better. But I feel like the best way for the Holy Spirit to do what he needs to do is for me to just be me and be honest and be real. And things happen to you in your life for a reason. Some of it is our fault. Some of it's not. It's circumstantial. But there's always a victory in the midst of the uncertainty. And I feel like I just feel like the only way to be is to be honest and transparent and authentic and let people look in. There's a difference between TMI and TBH. Okay, too much information versus to be honest. And so there are some things obviously you don't tell everybody. But I just feel like, man, my life has got to be an open book. And I have got to be vulnerable and honest and real because you're going to connect to that. Nobody needs a preacher up here or somebody sharing or instructing you on God's word without authenticity. You look at the Apostle Paul. that brother was as real as it got. He's mad. Look at David. He's mad. He's angry. He's frustrated. He's writing. He's hurt. He's upset. I mean, you see every emotion. I mean, you see Jesus going in the temple, literally turning the temple upside down out of just, it's raw. And I thought, what better can we connect to than just being raw and honest and real and let people look in and expose yourself. And for some of us, the hardest thing to do, but unless you have a good self-image, you're not able to be as raw as you could be.
Yeah, that's good. And that's honestly why I will always respect you. I remember our first meeting, you were telling me the flaws of our church. And for me, that was something that was so big to me because, I've been in church all my life and I've seen, leadership and what it looks like. And I said to myself, this is a man I want to follow because it's not someone who's pretending to have it all together. This is someone who's showing me, like, these are my flaws, but we're striving towards something and we're moving towards something. And that's what I can get behind because I understand that, you're not perfect, but you're striving to get somewhere and you have a vision. So I think your vulnerability has set the tone for myself and probably many of this room because we realize we don't have to put on the facade or project this image of I have it all together. We can say, hey, I'm struggling this week or struggling in this area. And it's the beauty of just releasing that. We're overcome by our testimony or by releasing that. And so thank you for just setting the tone of what that looks like and how we can experience the freedom and the liberty that comes with not wearing the mask.
Yeah, if our church was known for anything, yes, do I want us to be creative? Do I want us to have 1 million locations? Do I want us to have all these things? Whoa. 30, okay. No. But I just want people to walk in and look at our lives, people of the Block Church, or people connected to our ministry, and just go, man, they're not perfect. They might be a little over the top, a little dramatic at times. You, not me. But they are real. And they are authentic. And I just, that's what you're going to get when you read this book. Yeah. You're going to get an open book.
No pun.
Yeah, no pun. That's what you're going to get. That's what I want when you come to our church. Yeah. That's what I want when you read this book. That's what I want when you talk to me. Yeah. Period, the end. Yeah. We're going to make mistakes. I think you can lead with flaws and with vision at the same time.
That's good. So break down for us the 4 parts of the book.
Yeah, so 4 parts, and so I've broken up in 4 parts, right? So relationship with yourself. Alexis, I believe it was Alexis, she talked about that in the beginning. You got to have a good self-health, a good self-image. You got to know yourself. You don't have to know all of it, but you need to do some work. I am a big proponent of counseling. I mean, even in our church, we are willing to invest in people to go get counsel. We'll pay for you to go get some counsel. We talk about it all the time. Internal, you gotta know you gotta be okay with you, right? Second part is relationship in regards to romance. So I give a whole thing on the purpose of sex. I give this whole couple chapters on dating. What do you do before you date? What do you do while you're dating? It's a little obnoxious with the alliteration, and so I apologize.
He loves an alliteration.
I do. I'm trying not to. I'm moving on from alliteration. It's a preacher problem. But anyway, it's a whole thing on dating. And some new rules for it. And I cite a lot of stats on dating in this day and age and really where it came from. Then the third part is friendship. And I think that's my favorite part of the book. It just talks about how to manage and how to move beyond acquaintances to real covenant, community, relationship, kind of people you need, the importance of how God brings people in your life, and how to deal with conflict, how to deal with ghosting. We just preached about it this past weekend. Healthy conflict. People of God aren't just friendly. They actually make friends, and they really know how to deal with conflict effectively. And then the last part is authority. And I don't see a lot of books in this day and age talking about this, but how to handle and manage relationship with your bosses, with your spiritual leaders, with your employers, all of those sorts of things, and how to transition well, how to honor. And those sorts of things that I think are a lost art in society, I wanted to tackle those. And we need to reframe and get back to a biblical mindset that I believe can shape the world and make our world a better place. And we keep leaning in on the government to do it, or some sort of Instagram influencer to do it. God bless you, whatever. But people of God, we got to lead the way, and we can do it in those spheres of influence.
Yeah, that's good. So in a few seconds, we're going to get into some giveaways. Pastor Joe's going to give everyone a car in here.
I know I was so mad. I was like, I wanted to pay for everybody's school debt. You know what I'm saying?
It's not too late. Start with me.
I got to start with my wife, okay?
But before we do that, I'm going to take a few, what I'm going to call host liberties. I have my own things that are off script that I just want to ask you about. There was a statistic in the book from the University of Utah that said people that get married from the age of 28 to 32 are least likely to divorce. So I turned 32 this year. So basically, you're telling me, this year I got to find her, lock her down, marry her, and that's basically what you're telling me.
It would be my dream for you to get married. But that speaks to one of my favorite parts in the book. Can I speak to that for a moment?
You may.
I don't know what the time frame is, but okay, you're single.
It's your day.
I don't know how you're single. I mean, what a commodity over here, okay? And have you heard him sing? My goodness. One of our other location pastors, you may have met her, may have not, Grace Ann. She's
Of course we met
also single. And I do a whole chapter on the power. Stay with me. Stay with me.
No, because this is what always happens to us.
They are available, yes, okay. I get out myself. Okay, but I do a whole chapter on singleness and the power of being single. And I think the church has alienated single people. I think just like we look at marriage, particularly in Christendom, as the peak of the mountain. But I say that it's really a start at the bottom of a brand new hill. Because there's a whole new, and there's a lot of great peaks and looks in marriage, but singleness is beautiful, and we need to value it, celebrate it, and I'm not afraid to put singles in position of leadership over people who are married, because the reality is you do have something good to say, and we have to practice in our own sanctification, that I might be married and I might be 50 years old, but there's a 32-year-old who's single that has the Spirit of God inside of him that can speak to my situation and my circumstance. Am I preaching to anybody right now? And so I believe in singles, and if you are single, don't waste that weight.
Yeah.
One of the chapters in the book. Don't waste it, because there's something God needs to do right now. And if you never get married, and that's, and you're praying for that, keep praying, keep putting deodorant on and shaving your legs and do what you got to do, right? But if you never get married, life is 74, 75, 85 years. You've got an eternity. Yeah. And the reality is I'm married, and I could not do what I'm doing without my incredible, beautiful, amazing wife, okay? But there are also opportunities as a single person that you can sometimes even do more ministry and give more of your life to God and to the kingdom of God. And the reframe on all of us has to be I live for the glories of the kingdom of God. I exist, I go to work, I go to school, I play sports. I am a minister. It's not just the people up here who have a microphone who are ministers. Everybody is a minister, whether I'm single, married, whether I work in a church or outside a church. We've got to reframe that we move the kingdom forward. And if you're single, man, your opportunity sometimes is even greater than married folks who got to worry about, kids and got to worry about, as taking care of the home and all those different things. And so I think that's one of my favorite parts of the book, honestly.
Yeah, that's good. And then another liberty I'm going to take. Now, in the book, I read it from cover to cover. I saw your family, obviously. I saw Grace sprinkled in there. I saw Sharon and Jeff. I didn't see my name. And so I'm just wondering if that comes in Level Up 2, or I thought when I got to friendship, I'd be in there. So just wondering, if you can just address that. The people want to know. Okay, I'll let you off the hook. Don't worry. Next time. And then lastly, my last liberty. Don't. Just don't. It's too late.
I couldn't be so obvious that you're my favorite and then also throw you in the book, okay?
Don't. Yeah. No, it's over. It's done. It's in print. It's already there.
Party.
No, it's late. Too late. It's over. Lastly, you made a reference to a song that you sing to your wife from Music Soul Child. And some people might not have ever heard it before, and I think they want to hear you sing just a little bit of what that looks, what that sounds like.
Oh gosh.
You know the words.
Just as long as you know. You got to sing with me though. Can you help me with the words? I'm trying to remember. What
I'll get it up
chapter
for
was
you.
that? I was made for you and you were made for me.
Yeah, and I'll
Make sure that
everything, girl, the way.
where you always want to be. Just as long as your love don't change.
But what did you change it to? Just as long as you.
Hurry up. Yes, I was reading the words on the computer screen, and I mean, it's been a long time since I sang a Music Soul Child song. I did go see him one time in concert, by the way. But you know why I love you, why you're my favorite? Because you always bring back all the good R&B stuff. When we're on road trips, next thing you know, we're singing Drew Hill. Tell me what you.
So I went away on vacation, and on Mother's Day, there was like a Drew Hill concert, and he texted me like, "You got to go with me to this." I'm like, "No, just go ahead."
These people are like, "Who's Drew Hill?"
Anyway, so let's get to some giveaways.
Is that all? Am I done?
No, we
here?
got more.
Okay.
So you roll. So we have some online things. The first person to comment level up will get a free limited edition book. So the first person to comment will get a free level up book. So we'll wait for that. Also, the first 3 people to tag, no, that's wrong. Run that back. The first person to tag 3 of their friends, all of their friends and themselves get a limited edition book. So those are the instructions. First person to comment level up gets a free book. The first person to tag 3 of their friends gets a level up limited edition book for their 3 friends and themselves. Don't worry, I didn't forget about you guys here in the studio audience. We have some Pastor Joey trivia that if you answer, you can also get a book. And you might already have one, but guess what? You can gift it to someone else, all right? So, and if you live in this house, you can't play.
And there are a lot of people who live in my house.
Like half the half the audience. What
church plan.
is, and raise your hand, don't blurt it out. I'll pick the person who raises their hand the first and has the right answer. What is Pastor Joey's favorite candy? Becca. Yes, she wins. Come on, give it up for her. That's one.
Sour gummy worms. That works.
Okay. What is? Oh yeah, his sister's here too. She can't play either. What is Pastor Joey's middle initial?
My assistant
You
raised
can't
her
play
hand.
the list.
It's cheating.
Daddy?
Ruben.
Ruben.
I don't even know what to say to that.
This is the most biblical thing you can think of.
Hallelujah. Hey, man, you don't have to be extra spiritual just because it's here, all right? Nobody knows.
Okay. Who? No one? Anyone? There's a clue back there if you look. Garen. Yes. What's your middle name?
Lawrence.
Oh, that's so,
Regal.
regal. That's my. I love something regal.
Regal. Hallelujah.
Oh man. All right. The last question. Who knows where Pastor Lauren and Pastor Joey first met? Cammie. Oh, she gave me the real technical. You get that
For the crowd, what did she say? For the online.
in the airport. In the airport. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, we met in Joey, watch your words. We met in Elmira, New York. And there's some nicknames for it. It's a small little town, a little airport. But I was going up there to preach for her pops. She's a PK, all the PKs in the house. And so that's where we met. And she saw me, and she was just, she was, if that part just wrecked her, okay? I caught up later. I think I had a girlfriend at the time. But
Oh,
anyway.
God.
And that's why we've written Level Up. We've learned a few things.
Uh-oh, best friend giving secrets over here.
Yes, let's move on from that moment. If you're watching, bless you.
I'm just going to be silent because I want you to revel in this moment. All right, so I'm sure people want to know, people that are watching that may not know, how can they get this book?
Yeah.
Where can they get it?
Yeah, so I mean, it's wherever you get books, honestly, online particularly. So I would encourage you to go to Amazon, although I think Amazon only has like one copy left or
Wow.
for today. I'm sure maybe they only ordered 10. But anyway, still, we're calling it a sellout. Anyway, yeah, Barnes & Nobles, all the places online, go get 1 or 2 or 10 or 25 or whatever you want to sow there. Appreciate it, and yeah, that's where it's at. And then like write a review, please, a good one. And if you got something, actually, I don't care. Write any review, say anything because that helps us. Yeah, write a review.
Good. And tell us, how do you see this book being used as a resource? Where do you see it being used as a resource? Or
Yeah, obviously, I want everybody's relationships to go up, to go higher. But also, I so have always love the idea and want to be a leader to leaders and a friend to other churches, and we're doing that now as a church quite a bit, and we give so much to other churches and other ministries. But you know, there are 3 churches now that are planning to do this as a teaching series. We just finished it the week after Easter. We launched it. It was pouring, freezing rain that day, and we still had our highest non-event Sunday ever, which was cool. And we gave the book away to every person in our church. We wanted to model generosity in that way. But if you want to do it as a teaching series, I think it could be a great way. It's great small group material. There are block groups, small groups going through right now. You can have everything. You can have the sermons. You can have the small group questions. You can have the artwork, the bumpers. You can have all the social media stuff. We'll give you a great discount on the books as well. So I think that could be a great way to.
can they have the sneakers too? Does the sneakers come with?
Sneakers are not included. Not included.
So tell us, what's your favorite part of the book, or favorite phrases, or
Yeah.
topic?
And are we at the end here?
Getting towards, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So first of all, I just want to say, like, I couldn't believe that my friend William McDowell, who is a phenomenal worship leader, he wrote "I Give Myself Away." And can you sing that for us real quick?
I cannot. It's about you.
Anyway, and so he wrote the foreword. I was blown away. I think the foreword is worth the price of the book. It's just him. It's just so much revelation, you know. So anyway, I love the foreword. I talked about the single piece, and then I think also like the part on honor, I think is really important, and I think it's a lost art in our culture. I just preached on I guess 2 Sundays ago on honor, the lost art. And just how it's fleeting. We don't see it anywhere. Respect, learning how to transition, how to leave situations properly when people ghost. It is my biggest pet peeve on planet Earth. We are better than that. And I think just honoring each other. We are all humans. We are all made by God. And learning how to disagree honorably. Like I know that in this room, there was voting today in Philadelphia. And I know everybody voted differently today. And like we can exist in the same world and not be crazy and kill each other with our words. So we do this whole thing on. You want to go to the unity piece?
You can go to it.
Want to go there? We used to call, this would be a great way to finish. I think we used to say one of our values was diversity, but like we dropped that. Because we started to listen. And I tell the story of that and how a woman in our church, she had been racist her whole life. And she started to meet certain people in our church. And she's like, how could I, she was a white woman. How could I look at this African-American girl? How could I look at her every week and not see the love and the life of God in her? And she just repented to me. Like, it was so powerful. I was like, I got to put that in the book. And did not name anyone. And, but like we started listening, particularly during the election season, the first one. Really hard to pastor a church during the last election season. And we just started to listen to people. And what we did is we said, we live in a diverse nation, and it's easy to have diversity. But it's not easy to fight for unity. And so we are fighting for unity. But really, the starting point for unity is honor. And I have to have emotional intelligence enough to know how to just be quiet long enough to hear your experience. And I can disagree with it, but I can do it respectfully. But if I just shut up long enough, I might learn something about you and about me. And I think honor is such a massive piece of the puzzle. And we don't want to just be a diverse church. That's easy. You might sit in a diverse church, but the real work is unity. And I heard somebody say the other day that unity literally is going on a journey with people and fighting through your disagreements and agreeing to be in conflict. And our values, the way we grew up, the way we see life, our values, they are in conflict with each other. But we can fight through that because there is a greater purpose. And Jesus, at the end of the day, he came for all of us. And I don't want to go preaching the gospel and all those kinds of things.
Go ahead. That's what you do best.
But I'm just saying, like we are brothers and sisters. We got to start treating each other that way. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of the book.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
and what are you, lastly, what are you hoping this book accomplishes?
I think just impact. I just want to hear stories of like, hey man, this made a difference in my church, in my life, in my generation. I think it's probably hard to quantify it. I think discipleship is hard to quantify. Everybody wants like measurables and tangibles on discipleship, and it's usually church people who don't actually disciple anybody that are like, where is your discipleship? They just want you to do it instead of them doing it themselves. And so I just want this to be a discipleship tool where we go and like, this is a reference point. I'm not like, this is like, I don't care if I make money off of it. Like I just want this to get into as many hands as possible and be a tool and a reference point that people can look back to and go, okay, I know how to handle conflict. I'm outside of the way Jesus wants me to handle this. I know how to be honorable. I need to transition well. I'm leaving a church and I need to transition well. Like, man, where is that? These are the things I'm dating and I'm moving towards. I need to know how to do that well in this day and age. I just want this to be a manual for the millennial. And to be honest with you, Gen Z, and I think it will touch everybody. I'm just saying you always got to have an avatar. And I think I'm just speaking to myself. I am a millennial, so I think it touches that. But I think it's for everybody. I just want this to be a manual. Go back to how do we handle relationships. I don't spend a ton of time on marriage, but really everything else. And so, yeah, that's what I want to accomplish.
Well, I just want to take a few seconds to just celebrate you. I know what this journey was like for you and some of the pressure and the stresses. And I just hope that you know how great you are and how this is going to impact lives and already has begun to. And this is just the beginning of what is going to happen in you writing more books. You've already written one, right, before this? Or yes. But
let's not tell them what that one is.
When you had hair. But seriously.
There went his raise this coming year.
But seriously, I'm just so proud of you, and I'm just thankful for what God is doing in your life and look forward to being a part of more celebrations, and it'll all be worth it. And so the payoff is great.
Thank you, Pastor Derek. I love you all, and our church has been so gracious. And maybe even if you're lying, thank you for all the encouragement. And truly, I love you, man. You're one of my best friends in the world, and just grateful for all of you. Thanks. Get the book. Spread the word. Tell somebody. Comment. And make the investment in yourself and somebody else, especially if you're in conflict with somebody. Buy it for them. Okay, God bless you.
Well, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for being here. If you joined online, thank you all for being here. Look forward to seeing you guys. Make sure you buy a book for someone, and see you soon.